Can you hear me okay?
Hi, Miki. Yeah, I can hear you just fine. We are recording, and I don't know if you know how high tech this is, but I've got you on the iPhone speakerphone.
Oh, so high tech.
And then right next to that is the Android on voice memo.
It's happened again.
This happened on Tuesday, and we know it was really hot that day. Hot car. Joining us live in the Alert Center.
How long did you last in a hot car?
Facts that the heat index that day was 105 degrees. Hot car.
We don't yet know about a potential third suspect who was seen speeding away from federal agents at the scene. The whole thing had been a mystery to neighbors.
Hot car.
This is not an accident. This is pure negligence.
Oh, that's so cool.
It actually works really well.
I bet it does. That's super neat.
You don't need to go super high tech. I tried like several different variations on real equipment, and even
It's the best.
even the pros have these bad audio quality problems. So I just figured, let's go as like low maintenance as possible, and it turns out it works out pretty well.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
Whatever works. As long as you can save money and you're getting hurt, that's all that matters.
Saving money and not getting hurt. That maybe that could be like the theme of this whole like show today. Because that's a real dilemma. How do you do that? Because generally speaking, to feel safe, most people probably think, that is going to involve spending a bunch of money.
Yeah, like a lot of people think security systems and fences and like that kind of safety.
Right, but that's kind of an illusion, really. I think you're not really any more safe than if you didn't have that.
I absolutely think that's true. I think safety comes like that. That's like an inside thing. Like your personal sense of safety in your house. Like I get that you want cameras, but you still don't feel safe because of something inside. Yeah, take a look at that.
Right. That's kind of where we're going today a little bit, I think, in this, in our little conversation to some degree, where is it that you can feel safe and, spending money, certainly a lot of money being spent. I mean, a lot.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So much
money being spent. Right. So, by the way, everybody, we are talking with legendary Miki Rogers today. And if people were like, "What?" and you were like, "What?" and then Chelsea was like, "Hell yeah," which means a lot to me.
Good. She's amazing. She's wonderful. All the work she does is great.
I mean, her story, talk about legendary. I mean, unbelievable.
Oh, yeah.
Like, on a plane. Oh, my God.
All the talks that she's done, all the places she's gone to give lectures, all the articles she's written, she's amazing.
Right, and that all basically, I mean, she would have done, I mean, I don't know if we're talking out of turn, but that lady would have done amazing things regardless of how her life started out and the adventure she took on involuntarily as a young lady. But
yeah, I think it would have been better.
But because of those experiences, survivors in general, because that's kind of what we're talking about, survivorship and the places that people have gone and the things they've experienced and what they've seen, what people have learned. And you personally went on some wild adventures to like two separate places, that thankfully, no longer exist. But again, I think it's important to let people know because oftentimes I think it's missed And it's that even if we're talking about programs and institutions and camps and facilities that, thankfully got shut down for one reason or another.
They still exist
in
other places.
Run by the same people.
Other names.
Changing their own names to facilitate more operations.
That's happened a couple times, like changing their last name.
Sure, we know about that. Yeah, we do. Also, I brought it up with the last person I was talking to, but there's that, I guess, rather popular documentary on, I think it's on Netflix, Hell Camp.
Oh yeah.
Right. Really interesting, and I didn't see it.
I have not yet watched it.
But it's my understanding.
In the right place.
Right. I got through the first 2 episodes of Let Us Pray, and that was enough for me. That's with the Baptist Church women.
Oh, terrifying.
Super
I can't do the real ones. Like, I did the one on the Nexium cult, and I got through that because it was adult, very adult-based and super culty. And I was a child when I went through WASP, so it was very different. That was easy, but I can't do the real-world ones. I do fantasy shows, so like Handmaid's Tale.
Right.
Struggled with that, though. Like, it was hard.
No, I get it. See, my personal experience was getting coerced into getting involved with Scientology when I was a late teen.
Terrifying.
So, yeah, that's weird. I was looking for a part-time job, and
Wait, were they hiring? Was the church hiring?
No, it was far more nefarious than that. No, really. Like, I got a job as like I was 19, and I got this job at a little school, a little private school. Big red flag.
Yikes.
I didn't know. I was 19.
Of course.
I had just gotten fired from working an overnight gig at like a stop and go. Partially because I was partying in the back room with like my buddies after hours. And we were like drinking beer and smoking cigarettes,
Yeah, you were still a kid.
free from the store, because my manager, when I got hired like 9 months earlier, when I was 18, he goes, "Oh, by the way, there's a 2% acceptable loss variance in the store." And I was a pretty good student, so I'm looking around the store, thinking to myself, okay, there are 3 shifts.
How much can we take?
And I'm looking around going, I can't touch 2% of this inventory. Like, there's no way. So I was just like, okay, cool. I can help myself to whatever I want, whenever I wanted, within reason. And that turned into beyond reason.
Of course it did. Yep. Naturally.
Yeah, and it was like an idea of like, my manager's like, yeah, we got some weird numbers, and we're going to have to let you go. I'm like, all right, bro. Cause I was, young and dumb, and like, so I was like, okay, cool. I'll go get hired as a teacher's aide and kind of like PE coach guy at this little private school.
Yeah, that sounds super fun.
They were leasing out a couple rooms of a giant middle school campus, another like giant weird red flag, like this whole giant campus, and they were renting out like 3 classrooms for their school. So it was like also kind of legit, it was like an actual campus, right? Right. So I get there, and the students are all, doing their thing, and I realized they had this really strange kind of teaching technique that kind of fascinated me, and I didn't know what that was all about. But what they did was they had these guidelines for reading. So it involved something that, misunderstood words. Basically, so if you're reading and you find yourself getting bored, distracted, tired, disinterested, what that means is that somewhere back along the line, you skipped or misunderstood a word that you were reading, right? The theory being, if you had a clear understanding of all the words you were reading, all these other effects wouldn't be happening to you.
Interesting.
Right, but it's
weird.
It's weird, and I didn't realize what they were doing at the time. Because what they were reading were normal textbooks. And right. They were at that point in the school, they were just reading the normal, textbooks. And I thought that was a really tedious way of learning something.
Yeah.
But I bet it's really good for memorization and getting stuff kind of locked into your head.
It also, I can see that coming on. The younger you teach somebody that would apply later on to reading doctrine.
Right.
Especially in Scientology. Yeah.
Right. So what exactly? So one day, they saw me as a good employee or whatever, and I got along with the kids, and 50 kids in the school from elementary to a senior.
Cute.
So it's
creepy.
10 to 18-year-olds, similar to a boarding school scenario in a lot of cases, right? Very young to very old kids. And one day, I don't know if you've ever heard of some of these tactics that some cults use. It's called flirty fishing.
I don't think I've heard of it, but explain it to me.
Well, the ladies of the cult, they come out into the world, and they talk to maybe a young man.
Yeah.
And maybe they're even smoking seductively, perhaps, or being kind of touchy-feely a little bit, or being complimentary, stuff like that. And they're like, hey, and it's three ladies, right, talking to me, they're moms,
Yeah, of course.
And me being 19, I'm like, oh, that's really interesting. Wow. You should tell me.
Awesome.
You should tell me more. And they're like, you should come down to our little thing. And
you're like, yeah, sure, okay.
And they're like, maybe even get a job there, something more, substantial than this, because you're clearly, talented. It's very compelling, right? Because I don't know anything, so I go to their little kind of compound. In the middle of the city. It looked like it used to be an office park kind of thing with a courtyard in the middle, a bunch of buildings surrounding, fountain,
scary.
Right. Kind of scary, but they're like, hey, you know what? Take our little course here. And the little course thing was sitting face to face with someone in a chair, staring at each other, giving them instructions about pick up that book. And then if they didn't pick up the book, you would say flunk and reassert the command until they picked up the book off the floor, or a staring contest, right? For an hour. These different scenarios where,
those are definitely cult tactics.
Right. So then what happens after that kind of thing is when you get out of it, you have all of these endorphins flowing through your body, and you're all keyed up. And so what happens is things look brighter. You were in a good mood. Things are looking optimistic. Those are physiological effects that happen with these kinds of placebo effect situations where you're kind of getting a dose of their tactics.
Yep.
Same thing with the reading, because exactly as you said, later when you got into reading some of the doctrine and stuff, they would do the same thing. You'd actually have a monitor in the room with you, a bunch of people kind of silently reading, who would assist you with stuff, and dictionaries all over the table.
Yep.
Wild.
which is insane. And
Yeah.
the longer you stay awake, the easier you are to susceptibility, like the more susceptible you are to suggestibility.
Right, and part of the way they got me was they hand out like personality tests.
Oh, I hate those.
And then when you get the results of the personality test, basically what they do is they tell all this stuff that's great about you,
Yep.
and then they tell you all this stuff that's really bad, and how that, you know, they can fix it, and if you don't let them, you're going to go out into the world and die.
I'd end up living in like a cardboard box in the gutter.
Yeah, ironically, for a period of about 3 years, I wasn't in a cardboard box, but I did live on the beach in Venice Beach for 3.5 years as a bohemian, whacked out guitar playing, painting artist guy.
I want to say cool, but I also don't because homelessness isn't cool. But you got to live on the beach in California, so there are different levels of cool.
Well, I did make a conscious choice. It really was thought out a bit.
That's super cool.
Well, initially it was very cool. And then the reality of living on the street, even in that situation where it's probably one of the better places to be homeless.
Yeah, that or like Santa Cruz, one of the more popular beaches for sure.
I know people like in my real life who have launched successful careers from the beach like that. Absolutely. It's just one of those things.
Yep.
We used to talk about how we had, at least in California, like the second highest tourist. We were like the second most popular tourist attraction outside of Disneyland. Like more people, we were on a stage with more people than anybody else could ever be in front of.
In Venice Beach.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like I mean,
I'm not surprised.
yeah, and it's really interesting. I that's an episode unto itself because there's so many.
We could totally talk about it. I lived out of my car in Monterey and Santa Cruz. In the age of, I'm assuming I'm younger than you.
I'm
by
50,
at least 15 years.
I'm 54.
Yep. So at least 20 years. I'm 35.
Okay. Sure. I don't know how to be any age. Frankly, I was 27 for a very long time.
Oh, right? Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, I'm 25. Nope, that's not right. It's been 10 years. Shit. Like,
right.
No, I did the live out of my car thing because I was in the age of they didn't let you put tents up on the beach anymore.
Right.
Yeah, and they stopped that like when I was maybe like 5 or 6 years old. So I had to do it out of my car, but I did that in Monterey and Santa Cruz for like 1.5 to 2 years, and that was super fun. I did it on purpose. Right. And I had a car, which makes it totally different. That's an entirely different type of homelessness. Like, yeah. We can talk about that for a whole episode.
Yeah, I've done several variations, some van life.
I want to go back to van life. I've never lived out of a van. I lived out of a teeny tiny car and a Kia Soul. I want to do van life. That's going to be my next car.
I think maybe van life, I guess if you have some, like enough income, which, and it doesn't have to be that much, you can do it. But it has to be a reliable source of like constant, small dollar income, so you can constantly be able to, at any moment, get gas, leave, all of that stuff. God forbid, you need a repair.
Blow a tire and you're stuck in the middle of nowhere and you need to call a tow.
Because, sometimes with that scenario, what happens is, then you're living on the side of the road, and that's bad.
That sucked. That sucked. I ran out of gas in the middle of the desert in Nevada. And that was shit.
No. That's terrible.
I had to wait. I was only there for like 3 hours. I had to wait like 3 hours for a cop to come by.
Yeah.
And he like drove up to a nearby cop gas station, got me gas, and came back.
Oh, that's awesome. That's so funny. I have a running out of gas cop story too.
Awesome.
Just going down I-5 in the rain, ran out of gas, and I had to pull over, and my flashes are on. It's pouring down rain in my little minivan.
Awesome.
And this like detective's car pulls up behind me, and they're like, "Get in." And they're driving 120 miles an hour in the rain. These cool cats up front in their suits. And me in the back, like a little wet rat. Like, yeah, it was awesome.
I would have been so uncomfortable.
It was super uncomfortable. Like,
yeah.
I almost felt like I was being kidnapped for a minute.
Yeah, that's where my mind went. I was, fuck, I would not have done that. I would not have gotten in that car.
So,
I'm a 5'2" little woman now. There's totally different.
So, speaking of being kidnapped, is that what happened to you?
No, I got lucky. I did not go through that.
Good. Okay. So, yeah, let's get to... all right. So, you were at Academy at Ivy Ridge and Casa by the Sea, right?
Yep. Casa first and then the Academy.
Interesting. So, I have... I don't know. I think I've spoken to someone else who went to Casa. Probably. We've done probably 50 Survivor interviews over the last 5 years or so, maybe even a little more. But never Ivy Ridge. But Casa always reminds me of Sunset Bay still, which is still in operation, by the way.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah. Oh,
gross.
Yeah. And they have another offshoot too.
Ew.
A weird thing about Sunset Bay is that their business address happens to be a post office box with a suite number in San Diego, by the way.
Of course it is.
That's where their corporate office is. It looks like an office. It's not. It's a mailbox.
Absolutely.
Okay.
That makes sense. Perfectly shady corporation so they can get out of the laws of having a school off. Never mind.
Yeah, no, you're right. You can, you can, it's true. You're on safe ground here, it's really, really hard to defame anybody,
Yeah.
There are certain rules about defamation and what they are basically is you have to, be lying for one. It has to be untrue and you have to know it's untrue.
Oh, well, I don't know whether it's true or not.
There you go.
I'm sure that it's a really easy way to get around the United States laws of having a campus off United States soil by having just your little corporate office.
And it's not even an office. It's just a mailbox.
Just a little mailbox.
Yeah, and if you look up the address, it looks like an office.
Make it look so shady.
That's convenient. Small businesses do that all the time. It's so, to look more legitimate. But you shouldn't have to do that if you're a long-standing, supposedly therapeutic boarding school. That's absurd.
Laws that were designed for small business get taken advantage of all the time, but that doesn't make it any less illegal.
Right, and then you get...
why do we punish the people who take advantage of small businesses in this way by opening up shell corporations that sell drugs? Why do we punish them, but not the people who open up corporations like this and then go on to abuse children and steal millions of dollars from their parents?
Right, I'm surprised that Mexico hasn't done anything about these guys yet. I know that was the case with Casa, that ultimately... Wasn't it Mexican Child Protective Services that kind of came in and said this is enough?
Yeah, CPS and a certain type of Mexican militia, I can't remember exactly which one, came in and said this is enough after a whole bunch of abuse allegations. But from what I remember, the whole WWASP was going down.
At that time,
it took a lot for the corporation itself to fall.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many abuse allegations have come out of Sunset Bay. Is that one in Mexico?
Yeah, it's in Tijuana.
Oh.
It's not in... Yeah, Casa was nearby.
Casa was in Ensenada, so it was... no, it was still Mexico. It wasn't Baja California.
Yeah. Same. I mean, yeah, it was nearby in Ensenada, right? But that's that's sad because Ensenada is a really back when I was a kid, it used to be a really beautiful little city.
Beautiful place.
Yeah.
As far as picking a program, like, it's such a shame that there were bars in the windows and we couldn't look outside.
So,
because it was a beautiful ocean and like a nice 40-foot drop off a cliff into a gorgeous ocean.
So you were right there, huh? Like, okay, yeah, I don't know the geography exactly, but it was right there.
Wall, yeah, the wall, the really large wall that was built so we couldn't climb over it was literally directly on the cliff. Right against the sea. So if you looked out of the corner of your eye in the breakfast area while you were eating, or chow hall, whatever the fuck they want to call it,
right?
You could see the ocean and it was lovely, but you're not allowed to look out the window.
So did it makes me wonder if like the location was picked for because it was nice. Did they have a lot of the upper echelon visitors come and hang out there much? Just
I remember the owners
tours, that kind of thing.
No, not of the girl side, and I was only there for 3 months before they shut down. So I only remember the owners and a couple people from the Mexican government come in.
Yeah.
So, by the time that I got to Casa, they were already trying to make it look as nice as humanly possible.
Right.
Because they were fucked.
Right. I know we talked to a Sunset-based ex-staff member, too. That was really interesting.
Awesome.
And he was talking about, I think he waited too long to leave. He was a teacher or something and saw all this bad stuff going on. And then
they get stuck too. They get fed just as many lies as the parents and children do.
He felt pretty regretful. He waited too long and ended up getting fired. And we thought it was a shame, and he kind of agreed that if he had his wits about him, he would have, absconded with some of the kids and bailed, instead.
And bail.
Yeah, he would have re-kidnapped them. But that's risky because you're going to go to jail. You know what I mean? Sir.
Yeah, at that point, the program has 51% custody of you.
Right.
So, and not only that, the parents can then go for the other 49% of you. You're fucked on 2 levels.
Especially if you're in another country.
Oh.
Because then...
in Mexico, I'll be honest.
Yeah?
In Mexico, the chances of them finding you would be super slim. The Mexican government won't help them. They don't give a fuck.
That's what I'm saying. In fact...
I learned that the hard way. So, he'd just get away with it. At that point, those kids would just disappear into Mexico, and that would be it. They'd be gone.
I don't understand... Man, I lucked out. I had very loving parents. Unfortunately, my dad was killed when I was 9. And
so sad. Horrible.
Car accident, but... So I just don't, and then a lot of my family's gone, illness and stuff like that. So I never really got to experience that kind of weird, not wanting me around kind of. My sister and I were wild. We were just talking about this with my buddy. But
you're of the age to be wild. You were of the generation that was wild.
Yeah, but. Even talking with some of the survivors, I don't know what you were up to when you were a teenager. We can talk about that a little bit. But the stuff that I was doing when I was the same age, 16, 17, we were throwing raging house parties and running around in the street, drunk, crazy, vandalizing stuff just for fun, kicking in some guy's fence. And
you got the boys will be boys.
My sister stole a car when she was 13. Got her friend's keys and drove.
Little girls are rebels.
Drove 30 miles to a nightclub where her boyfriend was the doorman. She's 13 and went and partied. And then drove the car home and climbed through our bathroom window and pretended to be asleep on the floor all night in the bathroom.
Where in California are you from?
Orange, the city of Orange County.
Nice. Okay, so you've lived there forever.
Oh, I'm in Oregon now. I'm in Southern Oregon. But,
that makes total sense.
But
being from Orange County, Southern Alabama, that makes total sense.
So check this out. So my mom calls the police on my sister. She's 13 or 14. 2 plainclothes police officers come to the house. We all sit down in the living room. They tell her she's under arrest. You know, they go read her rights and tell her she's under arrest for stealing the car, whatever the case is. She gets convicted of unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. Gets assigned, this is so good. Gets assigned a bunch of community service. So her first assignment at community service is being a cashier at a pumpkin patch.
Oh, cute.
Where she steals a bunch of money and gets away with it. Her second, okay, this is, what year is this? This is like 1980. This is like
85.
It's like 1987, 88. Right, her second assignment, she's a 13. She's a hostess at a wine tasting. So she gets drunk and steals a bunch of money and gets away with it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Right.
Yep.
Not sent away.
Nope.
No. No, I don't think they could, have sent her away, even if they wanted to, because she was the kind, and still is kind of, to this day, Alex. I'm shouting out my sister Alexandra. She was the kind of person.
She sounds awesome.
Who could literally walk in, say a random bar, anywhere. Walk into the bar, go behind the bar, take over, start serving drinks, and having people do what she says.
That's so fucking cool.
It's weird. It was weird. Like, so much riz.
Some
right?
people just have that. Yeah, some people just exude that, like, aura, that charisma that they just
exactly.
have it there. Like, I don't have that.
But, yeah, now she does real estate staging for, like, multi-million-dollar homes. You know, she's got her crew, and basically they're like a temporary moving business. You know, they move all the furniture in, and then when the house sells, they move all the furniture out.
That's so cool.
Yeah, amazing
it's
stuff.
It's like constant redesign. That sounds awesome.
Yeah, like 2 to 3 stagings a day. She's just started this on her own, like right in the beginning of COVID, and it blew up. I'm so proud of her.
Mm-hmm. Good for her. That sounds awesome.
So, yeah, we were nuts. We were doing crazy stuff. We didn't have to be sent away. I think that it's so irrational, because what it does is, I guess the idea is that, we're going to save our family by sending our troubled kid away. So, yeah. But what I've seen is that it does exactly the opposite. It destroys families, even as far out as the extended family, because of the different opinions people have about what you just did to your kid.
Oh, from what you've seen, there's like whole scientific studies, like statistically, it's proven to make the child worse.
No, make the whole family worse. Like destroy families by sending your kid away. It will disrupt everything, because grandma and your great aunt, they think you just did a horrific thing, and your drunk uncle thinks it's great.
Yep.
Yeah. Then what?
Or your brother who's 8 years older than you doesn't agree. Like mine.
Exactly. So what were you up to that got you sent away? What's going on?
So my parents are super rich and white from Los Gatos, California.
Okay.
And I was adopted from a 16-year-old, not white, not quite so rich, street rat.
Okay.
Just to set the stage.
Sure.
I was already at a loss.
Right.
I was on a downside.
Yeah.
I was the one that gets adopted when you want to look good, if that makes sense.
Yep. I'm going to pause you for a second here. This is what happened to my dad.
Oh, no.
In the 50s.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
That whole side of the family is a complete mystery because of a bunch of reasons, but basically they destroyed a bunch of records. He was removed from the custody of his parents for some reason, placed in an orphanage. And he was so cool at 5 or 6 years old that he was immediately adopted out by this Southern Baptist family.
Yep, to look good.
And then when he died, they cut off all contact with us.
Oh.
My adoptive grandparents, who never really had any interest in us at all. They just loved Bobby, their golden child.
Yeah, because he was the one that made them all look like rescuers of an impoverished little baby who needed love.
They picked a good one, too. My dad was cool. Man. Yeah. Anyway, go ahead. Yeah, they really. No, I get it. I mean, I do get that.
It's a real thing. It's a totally real trope. I'm so sorry.
No, and people don't know that. It's so important. Like, I've never like hit on that before in my life. Like talking about that. Yeah, that's really interesting.
Nobody wants to say it out loud. It's not always the wonderful white family going into China to adopt a beautiful baby because they love the child and they want to bring a child home.
Right. No, I love that I'm a mutt and of unknown origin. I think that may be my saving grace because I don't give a fuck about where you come from, what color you are, how fat you are, how skinny. I don't care.
It don't matter.
I'm not a lookist, right? I don't care. And I find beauty in just about everybody, like in some way, unless you like start talking, you know, saying like shut up and then just look cute or something because now you're ruining it. So
that happens sometimes.
All right, sorry. So what? So what were you doing? Like
so around the time that I got sent away, I was 2 when I was adopted, so I had some issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, and my birth mom had lived on the street. I came from a different area and I never went to therapy. This was like back in I was born in '88, so back in the '90s. They didn't know what to do with a child like me,
right?
Who had been through that type of system without ever actually going through the foster system. I was one of those weird, rich, white lady private adoptions.
Gotcha.
System had never met anybody like me. So by the time I got to high school, I was pretty fucked up. Like,
yeah.
I started by that I mean I did everything a little white girl could do to rebel. I started skipping classes. I started seeing girls. I started not coming home and running away to like my best friend's house down the street for like a night or 2 at a time.
Oh, wait, you started having girlfriends?
Yeah, like I dated girls instead of boys.
I get it. Like, yeah, so that
a big deal.
That might have been a big deal.
That was a super big deal.
I bet.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that act.
Oh no.
Yeah.
That's so dumb.
Awful.
Oh my god, come on.
Yep. So I the kicker.
Okay.
The kicker for my mom was I went to a high school party, like my first party ever.
Right.
And the only party I ever went to in high school for my girlfriend's high school graduation when I was a freshman. So she was a senior.
That's scandalous.
That's absolutely scandalous. She was a she, so there was no way I was going to get pregnant, guys. Let's just.
And also super cute. Sue. Like that just, you know, wait, a freshman?
Yeah.
And a senior?
Yep.
Girlfriends,
yes.
That's, like, if I was a teenage boy in that school and I knew about that, I would think that was the best thing ever.
No, we got bullied horrifically.
I bet you did. Yeah,
we did.
But secretly they were doing something else.
Secretly, they were all like, oh, I want to be that.
Well, secretly they were doing something else, the young men at home.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, they were thinking about it.
There's no shame in that, boys. Next time, just be honest with
But the problem is the adults were thinking about it too.
Yeah, that's
which is an issue. They should not have been thinking about that.
That's the issue. So I got sent away.
Stop thinking about it.
I got sent away after that party.
Yeah.
What happened at that party was not my fault. My mom had put drugs in my applesauce. So she had, I learned later that she had put Depakote and like another antidepressant and Strattera in my applesauce. And I didn't know. So I had my first vodka and Pepsi at said party.
Yep.
And passed out.
I bet.
Yeah. My girlfriend...
You were out. You probably couldn't have
I was out. My girlfriend said...
Hard time waking you up because of the medication.
Yeah, it was awful. Mm-hmm. I ended up being left on my parents' doorstep half naked.
Oh,
the night did not go well. My girlfriend said that she could hear me screaming from the room, but she couldn't get in. It went awful.
Wait a minute. You know what? This is so weird. I just got this like super strange like deja vu situation happening. I've heard this story before.
Oh, creepy!
Not from you, but from someone else that we've interviewed previously about.
Oh
no! About one girl dropping off another girl. I don't think it was necessarily like a girlfriend situation, but on the porch of the parents. I think it might have been J.C. Henderson. She doesn't. They wouldn't mind if I dropped their name.
Drop their name.
Yeah, because she was. Sorry.
I hate it when that happens.
Sorry, pronouns.
You can take the person
Pronouns
to
are
a
tough. Hold
hospital.
on. Sorry, pronouns are hard. They were one of the first interviews that I did regarding TTI, and I think, man, it sounds so familiar. That's weird. Creepy.
It's creepy.
Super creepy. So that was it, basically.
I want to meet them.
Yeah, they're awesome. A great artist, a real pioneer in calling out referrals, to these places from legitimate institutions, which is really dangerous. You'll have these real hospitals
referring patients to these places because they think it's a safe place.
Right. And so our interview got this hospital to stop doing that.
Good.
Yeah. Very cool. So it all makes a difference. These anecdotes really make a difference. I hear about it a lot from either people changing their minds about things or thanking us for expressing something they maybe they can't.
Yeah.
Yeah. So was that kind of it? That
was it. My mom was horrified that I could have done that to the family right before my brother's college graduation.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God, it was awful. It was a really big deal. And after my brother's college graduation, they took me to Casa themselves.
How old were you?
They kidnapped me. I was...
14?
I turned...
13.
I turned 15 and 16, so I was 14.
Yeah, okay, yeah. Wow. See? That's what I mean. You would have been just fine. I mean, I don't know about your family dynamic. That's insane, in its own right. Your mom drugging you. I mean...
Yep. I've had people from middle school that I don't even speak to anymore because when I joined the Marine Corps, I changed my name and I left my old. It's fine, but I had people remember my mom I remember she gave when you spent the night the one night she gave my mom 10 bottles of pills and my mom just didn't give you them and you were fine. Your mom was nuts and I was yeah she.
Wow.
Yep.
That's amazing.
Well, not the first time.
we have this. We came up with this concept. I mean, we didn't invent it, I don't think, but just the idea of maybe readdressing all this stuff as the these people being troubled parents and reframing it in that sense. And then we came up with this concept, regarding. The seminars and the academy itself, and my podcast partner Hammy, he said, "Hey, what about Hamstone Academy?" and I said, "Well, yeah, because the motto can be it's a borrowing of a Taylor Swift lyric. It says, 'Hi, it's you. You're the problem. It's you.
It's you. I love it.'"
And it's okay to let a kid be a kid.
Yep.
So there are these basically, I'm not a counselor. I was a drug and alcohol tech. I ran homeless shelters. I ran sober living homes. But I'm not a counselor. But I am trained in communications training. So we set up this fake kind of parental seminar on how to deal with your teen. And we kind of want to turn it into a real thing.
Do it.
Do
it. We need more of that out there.
And make it very
suffering.
Make it expensive even, so parents can feel like they're doing a good thing. Because the money that they're...
If you find a way to paste God all over it, and then you'll get a whole other side of parents that really need that fucking help too.
Well, yeah. I mean, one of the schools that I came across just kind of browsing around at one time a couple of years ago, one of the main selling points of this one very religious school in Georgia was, if your kid is bored, send them here. Just bored. Like, it goes back to that whole thing about indoctrination through rereading texts over and over again. They're going to have some
brainwash your child into being exactly who you want them to be, not exactly who they are.
We will make your kid memorize all our favorite Bible verses.
Yep.
And then pretend like that applies to their lives. Like what? No, that's silly.
No,
it doesn't work. And
it doesn't.
So, that's it's so weird to talk about because when after the fact, when you bring all this stuff up and talk about it, it just sounds so ridiculous.
Right.
It really does. Like, you did what to who? Like,
yeah.
And then sometimes the parents don't know like what they're getting into, and they find out, and they're so ashamed. And at other times they very much know what they're getting into, and they're devious, and that's horrible.
And they're not ashamed, and they just wanted to like either get rid of the kid or fix the kid, quote unquote, in whatever fashion they saw fit.
Yeah, and in a lot of cases, it's like you were saying, these wealthy, entitled parents who don't care for their kids at all anyway, and would rather just let them grow up outside of the home and have these people knock some sense into them, basically. That kind of attitude.
Yeah. Like, it fixed my kid. My kid's not acting like a kid. Well, I'm sorry, your kid's acting like a kid. Your kid's not acting like you, is what you said. Like,
well, then you deal with the hypocrisy of that kind of stuff, too. Or like, wait a minute, what were you doing when you were a kid?
Right?
Dad, because we know. You and your buddies talk about it all the time. Like
going to Woodstock and smoking
all that
weed.
stuff,
Yeah, like
it's the worst kind of hypocrisy. You're like, what do you mean? Did you get sent there? No. Are you?
No.
You would, and you would consider yourself okay. So why the hell would you want to send me there? You even know what goes on there? I mean, I'm talking to like parents again, because we're always talking to these parents who may or may not, end up hearing this stuff. Don't send your kid to places like this. Don't do it.
Don't send your kid to a place that requires anything other than community therapy. Anything that's outside the community isn't safe for the child.
Right.
And it does more damage than it does good for the whole family unit, not just the child, but everyone involved.
Yeah. Part of the reason, the joking about the parental guidance stuff is, again, this other idea, too, where it's like, look, parents, you can give us $5,000 and we're going to take you away for a couple of weeks and set you up and teach you some stuff. We'll have other people take care of your kid and teach them some stuff at home. You leave, right? Parents, you leave. We'll watch your kid. And when you come back, and then when you come back, you're gonna know stuff about your kid that that you didn't know.
Right?
Yes.
Maybe give parents some seminars on mindfulness, on aggression, anger management.
What anger really is, and what anger really is, in my opinion, in my estimation, it's anger is not something that someone else can do to you in this sense.
Nope, it's something that you feel.
Anger is judgment about what you think someone should or shouldn't be doing.
Your perception of the event. Your perception of the event.
Right.
Not the facts of the event. It is the person's perception, perceived feelings and ideas around said event.
Right. Oftentimes, people would come to you with all these emotions, and they're mad, and they're angry, and they're upset, and you don't know exactly why. So it's better to get to the factual part first, and then you can express all these emotions about the facts. But you got to come with the facts first, because if you come with all your emotions, no one's going to be able to understand what's going on, and they're going to get confused and scared and not wanting to be around all of that. It's important.
I often find that anger is the mask we wear for lots of different emotions.
Right. Lots
of different emotions, and anger is the word we use to explain them.
It's a big red flag that it signals that you have some personal unmet need.
Yep.
And so
You're
what you
hurt
do
somewhere.
is
Where are you hurting?
you connect up with whatever feelings you're having, like simply, like say, I'm feeling hungry, I need to eat. Would you be willing to make me a sandwich? And then, whatever you say, yes or no, I have to take that is real, because if I say, I'm feeling hungry, will you make me a sandwich? And you say no, and I get mad, what I did was I made a demand in the disguise of a question.
Yep.
Okay,
make me a sandwich, not
you might as well
you
say
have the choice.
You might as well say it that way if that's what you really mean, right?
Yep.
Don't hide behind words. Say what you mean. Like passive aggression, it's a dead end street.
Communication is key. Effective communication is so key.
It is, and it's
even with yourself, like even within our own minds and bodies and brains, with our emotions, effective communication is.
It really is, and it's interesting that sometimes we have to learn these things through all of these ordeals. I mean, what were, like, not to give anybody up or anything, but what were some of the other reasons that these other, like, people were there with you, like at either place? Like, was it varied?
Yeah, varied. I heard some violent stories of, like, a lot of drugs, a lot of gangs, even among the girls, like a lot of gang violence, to other stories like mine where I skipped a couple classes, to a couple stories where they just started getting poor grades.
Right. So,
which just, I can't even talk about those poor girls.
No, I know.
I can't.
Well, that's another thing to keep in mind, and that's why I asked, is because these schools and these, so-called, I mean, they're not even, like, all that accreditation bullshit.
They were marketed, so I'm going to say this because I know this is fact, and they can come find me, whatever. They were marketed, so these, especially WASP, were marketed to specific areas in different ways on purpose.
Right. Right.
The marketing that my parents got was very targeted to rich white people who want to fix the problem child.
Right.
The marketing that other girls' parents got, like, especially if they were, like, grew up on the streets or in the ghetto.
Yeah.
Some of the foster homes got, send them here and you'll have a lower caseload, or send them here and your child will be fed and have a solid, well-rounded education.
Right. Or won't go to jail.
Or won't go to jail. We'll be able to keep your kid off the street until they're able to fend for themselves.
Exactly.
Like, it was so disgustingly targeted that it had to have been on purpose. There's no way that it was about helping children.
No, and so then you get all of these people into this one kind of unified program that isn't really addressing any of these issues at all.
No. Some of us at 4 but I don't know. I mean, I'll never know.
I mean, they're just not, that's not what those places are there for. Like,
yeah.
And but people get sold this idea that, they're going to help in some way. And then you take a look at the spectrum of behaviors and whatever that led these people there. And you think, wait a minute, how expert do these people have to be able to handle this whole range of things? Like, and then you go, wait, well, that's not even a thing. That's not a place. That's not a thing that happens.
And in what world in what world could one program help that widely varied of a, like, section of children?
No, because it's like every problem that a kid might face, and they're saying, "Oh, we have all of the answers." Well, that's just silly.
Like how is that? That's not possible because no one does. Even for adult problems.
Right.
But, okay.
I mean, one issue at a time, but that's not a thing. I mean, the best results, or the best example of that actually being a thing, I suppose, is a good teen drug rehab program. Those do exist. Those are absolutely real. and
Yes.
and these people are treated with kindness and respect as adults, you know.
But it's targeted. It is targeted for one specific problem.
Right.
Not so many varied problems that there is no one way to fix everybody.
No, but
it's not like there's
right.
just not.
Right. Well, but what's also missing from these other, like, I mean, that's the only example I can really think of. Is
there are numerous community programs. I can't say nationwide, but I've seen them across Tulsa and lots of other cities that I've been in.
Yeah. What's missing
Little
is the
community programs here and there.
Yeah. What's missing is the torture and coercion part.
Exactly. And they're always autonomous. Like, the child has a choice. That is the biggest and most important part, especially with a lot of the drug treatment programs. The child has a choice to be there or not.
Right. Yeah, that's super important too. And so if you're faced with, a situation where, the whatever it is that's selling you the thing, if they're telling you that you don't really have other options, they're lying to you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, right, if you hear that kind of stuff, like, run away fast.
Yeah, like, I couldn't find any other way. That's absolutely not true. You didn't look. You clicked the first link on Google that you found because they now sell the high enough ad space. I can't speak to what it was like back in the day, but that's how it is now. Like,
oh, now it's amazing. Like, you type in, like, small town by name, boarding school, troubled teen, and suddenly it looks like there's one right there in your hometown. Like, you're like, what?
Holy fuck, like, how did this happen?
It's not, well, no, and then you kind of investigate further, and you're like, oh, that's somewhere in the middle of Wyoming somewhere. Oh.
Yeah,
like, okay.
Yeah, because they sell the highest ad space now. So they just
yeah.
buy out all the ad space, and now every link you click just goes back to the same creepy program. It's terrifying.
It's so crazy. So, yeah, all right. Well, I don't know really ever how to wrap these things up,
Yep, me either. I don't know.
But
it was fun talking to you.
You too. But, I guess the message is, like we were saying before, is there's always another choice. And,
yes.
And be well aware that all of these programs, are still out there. Maybe not by name or in the same location, but there are literally hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of these small, sometimes large. Provo Canyon is still up and running. That's where Bob Litchfield got his training.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean he worked there as staff and decided.
Provo is alive and well.
It sure is. I'm super proud of another thing that we did is, we played a little bit of a role in getting Diamond Ranch Academy shut down too.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, we
Yay!
did. I know, that's awesome, and I think there you go.
Baby
That's
steps.
the whole point.
It takes baby steps too.
These little baby steps and these like.
I think to tie it all the way back to the beginning, people are so quick to throw money at security.
Right.
That's literally what a program is. You're just throwing money in a sense of control, but you don't have control over a situation like this. There are other options that don't involve this.
Right. That's exactly. Parents, don't give up your parental authority. Well, out to a stranger. That's insane. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
You're good enough to be a parent. You might need some help, but we can get, you can get through this stuff. Your kid will eventually grow up and then appreciate you.
Yeah.
Sure. I think that's a good way to end it.
Yep.
All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Miki.
Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, it's happened again.
This happened on Tuesday, and we know it was really hot that day. Hot car. Joining us live in the Alert Center.
How long did you last in a hot car?
Facts that the heat index that day was 105 degrees. Hot car.
We don't yet know about a potential third suspect who was seen speeding away from federal agents at the scene. The whole thing had been a mystery to neighbors.
Hot car.
This is not an accident. This is pure negligence.